Hey everybody, welcome to the Morning Devo with Bo O. Super glad to be back in the Morning Devo. I did my Devo yesterday, but it was up on a mountain, so I wasn't able to have you guys in with me. But Paula, it's really good seeing you, and for everybody else, just want to say hi. And my name's Bo Willette, if you don't know, and you could always check out the archives at Bo Willette. And there we have all the devotions and the different books of the Bible. So if you've never gone through the Bible, it might be a good time to do it in the days that we live in, right? Anyway, I always love going through the Bible, reading through it, and just pulling out some cool gems in there. And that's what this devotion's all about, really. And so check it out. We're in chapter 18 of 2 Kings. We're kind of now towards the latter part of this book. And we've gone through 1 Kings. We've gone into 2 Kings, and things just get really bad, right? In Israel. Sometimes, when you're growing up and you don't know about the Bible, you have all these different thoughts maybe about it. You've heard different things about it, and you kind of conjure up in your own imagination your ideas on maybe what's in the Bible. And I certainly did not ever think the Bible would be like this. When I decided to read it at 17, 18 years old, and just read through the Bible, I was absolutely shocked that the main, if you will, people of the Bible, the Jewish people, the Jewish nation, which the Bible is about, they are utter failures in many, many ways. And it kind of was hard to think that way. Like, wait, the main people aren't good, aren't doing the right thing? And that concept just was really a mind blower. I thought the Bible was written about amazing people, and it was about how awesome everything is, and how God is amazing, and how when people know God, their lives are amazing and everything's great, and this kind of idea. And that God, he kind of selectively judges these people and selectively saves these people. And, and just this really interesting idea I had. And it was really convoluted by my culture, for sure. But little did I know that the Bible's main subject were incredibly, messed up. And that's where we're at. So the kings of Israel are pretty messed up, and we finally get to the king of the southern tribes of Israel, a guy named Hezekiah. And let's see what Hezekiah is all about. So Hezekiah, son of Ahaz, began to rule over Judah in the third reign of King Hoshea, reign in Israel. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. So pretty good reign. It says that his mother was Abijah, the daughter of Zechariah. He did what was pleasing in the Lord's sight, just as his ancestor David had done. He removed the pagan shrines, smashed the sacred pillars, and cut down the Asherah poles. He broke up the bronze serpent that Moses had made, because of the people of Israel had been offering sacrifices to it. The bronze serpent was called Nehushtan. Wow. So really, Hezekiah does some restoration in the land, the southern tribes, trying to restore again the rightful worship of Yahweh. The worship in the land has been given, or of the people have been given over to just massive idolatry. Remember the first couple commandments of the 10 commandments? Those have been shattered. Absolutely. Right? The entire nation has been given over to carved images. And we get this kind of light out of the darkness of Hezekiah, who thinks way differently. And maybe today, we can just think way differently from other people. maybe our minds just are different from where other people are at. Maybe we're thinking as Christians about things in a different way. And that could really bring some refreshment to a community. So when everybody's harsh and mean and angry, maybe you bring compassion, and maybe you bring a form of tolerance. Not acceptance of everything. That's not what I mean by tolerance. But the idea is you're able to be patient, and you'll be able to persevere in loving people and not being quick to judge, right? Harsh. But maybe that kind of Hezekiah attitude might be good for us, right? And so it says, Hezekiah trusted in the Lord, the God of Israel. What a great passage, huh? Gosh, do I trust in the Lord? Are people going to see me as someone who trusted in God? You know, where is my mind? Is it on the Lord? There was no one like him, all the kings of Judah, either before or after him. No one like him out of all the kings of Judah. Wow, that's pretty radical. So Hezekiah really stood out. He was really a neat guy. He obviously was the type of guy that people could pick him out of a group. He was that unique and that dedicated to God, and had something to say. Something to say that was going to be different, maybe just with the status quo and what everybody else was saying or doing. And again, as a Christian, that's what I want to do, is I want to say things that are a little different. It's neat. I had a conversation with two people the other day on my ski trip, and we were stuck in a gondola. Not stuck, but we were on our way up on a gondola. And it's neat how conversations get going, and these younger guys, just started talking, and then it ended up where I started sharing a little bit, and then they started having questions, and it's neat. One of their comments was like, man, you know what? It's like, I've met guys like you before, and man, like you really make me think, and you have different the answers you give make sense. And I could see them just contemplating and thinking through it and appreciating, the way I was talking to them, not talking down to them, but talking to them just as human to human. And so I hope to be a person like Hezekiah. It says that he trusted in the Lord, and there was no one like him among the kings of Judah. He remained faithful to the Lord in everything and carefully obeyed all the commands of the Lord that were given to Moses. Again, this is it. The people of Israel have gone away from Moses, right? They've totally moved away from Moses and the covenant with God, with Yahweh. And Hezekiah is now trying to bring the people back to understanding the covenant that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai. And isn't that amazing? All these books we're reading, all these chapters we're reading are all about Israel moving away from this covenant. And now Hezekiah is bringing them back. So the Lord was with him, and Hezekiah was successful in everything he did. He revolted against the king of Assyria and refused to pay him tribute. Wow, that's pretty bold. Assyria is pretty powerful. He also conquered the Philistines as far distant as Gaza and its territory. Have you ever heard of the Gaza Strip? Interesting. From the smallest outpost to their largest walled city. During the 4th year of Hezekiah's reign, it says, which was the 7th year of King Hoshea's reign in Israel, King Shalmaneser of Assyria attacked the city of Samaria and began a siege against it. 3 years later, during the 6th year of King Hezekiah's reign, in the 9th year of King Hoshea's reign in Israel, we kind of already got some history on this, by the way. It says, at that time, the king of Assyria did take the northern kingdom, and they exiled the Israelites to Assyria and placed them in colonies in Hala. And then it goes on the list of those places where the northern tribes were taken. The people, they were transported, if you will. For they refused to listen to the Lord, their God, and obey him. and all the laws of Moses, the Lord's servant, had commanded them to obey. So again, it all goes back to Moses, man, don't it? All go back to the Word. And isn't that with us too? It always goes back to the Word. Hey, am I listening to the Word? Am I wanting to obey the Word? Where am I at, with that? Have I gone away from the covenant? Today's Good Friday. It's a great day where we remember, right? The Passover. We remember the time of Moses in the Exodus, how our deliverance took place, who our Redeemer was, right? The blood that was shed for us, the body that was broken for us. And so, do I go back to those things? Do I remember? Do I partake of communion to remember, the body and the blood of Christ? It's an exciting time. It's a good time. Can you get excited about Good Friday? Can you get excited about, Resurrection Sunday? And excited in the sense of, hey, I get to remember God. Man, that's what life's about. That's what it's about, is these things. And it says, in the 14th year of King Hezekiah's reign, King Sennacherib of Assyria came to attack the fortified towns of Judah and conquered them. Oh, by the way, just as when I mean that's what life's about, I mean that's what the Christian life is about, right? For those that aren't Christians, of course, they might do other things, right? They might go to other books, other people for their authority on life. But for the Christian, we go to Christ, right? So we see that in the 14th year of King Hezekiah's reign, King Sennacherib of Israel came to attack the fortified towns of Judah and conquered them. King Hezekiah sent this message to the king of Assyria at Lachish. I have done wrong. I will pay whatever tribute money you demand if you will only withdraw. The king of Assyria then demanded a settlement of more than 11 tons of silver and 1 ton of gold. To gather this amount, King Hezekiah used all the silver stored in the temple of the Lord and in the palace treasury. Hezekiah even stripped the gold from the doors of the Lord's temple, from the doorpost he had overlaid with gold, and he gave them to the Assyrian king. Wow. Nevertheless, the king of Assyria sent his commander-in-chief, his field commander, and his chief of staff from Lachish with a huge army to confront King Hezekiah in Jerusalem. Didn't really pay off all the payouts, right? Sometimes the payouts don't pay off in our life. Sometimes we think if we just kind of appease something or someone, that it's going to go away. But it don't it? Nope. It stays right there. That conflict is still right there. So the king of Assyria sends his army in. The Assyrians took up position beside the aqueduct that feeds water into the upper pool near the road leading to the field where clothes were washed. They summoned King Hezekiah, but the king sent these officials to meet with them. Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator, Shebna, the court secretary, and Joah, son of Asaph, the royal historian. Isn't that cool? The royal historian. Whoa! How many, these are the dudes that maybe, did some of these people pen down some of these events? Very cool. Then the Assyrian king, chief, and staff told them to give this message to Hezekiah. So this is the letter of the Assyrian king, right? Chief of staff. This is what the great king of Assyria says. What you are trusting in what are you trusting in that makes you so confident? Do you think that mere words can substitute for military skill and strength? Who are you counting on? You have rebelled against me. On Egypt, if you lean on Egypt, you will be like a reed that splinters beneath your weight and pierces your hand. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, is completely unreliable. This is like geopolitical stuff going on here, right? I mean, this is the United States and Ukraine and Russia. I mean, he's got that feel, right? It's like, you rely on them, it ain't going to happen, right? Israel, if you go hang out with Egypt and you try to rely on them, it ain't going to work, man. We're too powerful. And in a sense, the king of Assyria was right. You need to rely on God and not on Egypt. But perhaps you will say to me, we are trusting in the Lord our God, but isn't he the one who was insulted by Hezekiah? Didn't Hezekiah tear down his shrines and altars and make everyone in Judah and Jerusalem worship only at the altar here in Jerusalem? I tell you what, strike a bargain with my master, the king of Assyria. I will give you 2,000 horses if you can find that many men, to ride on them. With your tiny army, how can you think of challenging even the weakest contingent of my master's troops, even with the help of Egypt's chariots and charioteers? What's more, do you think we have invaded your land without the Lord's direction? The Lord himself told us, attack this land and destroy it. Wow. So, everybody's throwing out their gods and, hey, our God told you this. Wow, what a letter, right? God, when times are overwhelming, panic sets in. What are you going to do? What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? Who am I going to rely on? When the chips are down, and the chips will be down at some point, where am I going to go? Who am I going to rely on in those times? What a big question. And where do people go? Who do people trust? In these times. Then Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, Shebna, and Joah said to the Assyrian chief and staff, please speak to us in Aramaic, for we understand it well. Don't speak in Hebrew, for the people on the wall will hear it. Hey, don't speak so loud, man. Everybody's going to hear it, and they're going to get bummed out. Meaning they're going to get intimidated, scared, freaked out. Speak in a language that we can just understand, Kind of interesting, the historical background there, what's going on. But Sennacherib's chief of staff replied, do you think my master sent this message only to you and your master? He wants all the people to hear it. For when we put this city under siege, they will suffer along with you. They will be so hungry and thirsty that they will eat their own dung and drink their own urine. Yikes. Just think if you heard that, right? You're going to get it. You're going to get bombed. It's going to be done. I mean, what would we do? Panic, freak out, right? Then the chief of staff stood and shouted in Hebrew to all the people on the wall, listen to this message from the great king of Assyria. This is what the king says. Don't let Hezekiah deceive you. He will never be able to rescue you from my power. Don't let him fool you into trusting in the Lord by saying, the Lord will surely rescue us. This city will never fall into the hands of the Assyrian king. There's always someone like this Assyrian chief that's in our world and in our lives. Someone who comes to us and says, did God really say he's going to help you? Did God really say he would never leave you nor forsake you? Did God really say that those who believe in me will never die? Did God really say, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world? There's so many things that we have doubt on, that we have that Assyrian chief in our ear just whispering. And boy, that can really, really, really tempt us to move away from going back to the Word, back to Moses' law, right? Back to the Scriptures, right? The New Covenant, listening to Christ and what He promised. So I got to be careful today of that Assyrian chief that kind of is in my life, whispering in my ear. Don't listen to Hezekiah. These are the terms the king of Syria is offering. Make peace with me, open the gates, and come out. Then each of you can continue eating from your own grapevine and fig tree and drinking from your own well. Then I will arrange to take you to another land like this one. A land of grain and new wine, bread and vineyards, olive oils and honey. Choose life instead of death. It sounds so good. Gosh, it sounds so good. Don't listen to Hezekiah when he tries to mislead you by saying, the Lord will rescue us. Have the gods of any other nations ever saved their people from the king of Assyria? What happened to the gods of Hamath and Aprad What about the gods of Sepharvaim, Hena, Iva? Did any god rescue Samaria from my power? What god of any nation has ever been able to save its people from my power? So what makes you think that the Lord can rescue Jerusalem from me? Yeah. It's all about who's the biggest god, right? The biggest god will win. That's how that idolatrous attitude works. Never mind, he never thought that maybe there's a reason why God wasn't winning the victory, supposedly, for Israel. Maybe God has a purpose, and there's a plan. And there's actually something that's written already about this time. And remember, Moses' writing already wrote about this time. Said that if the people rejected the law, that there would be these consequences. So this isn't rocket science. It's just the chief of Assyria doesn't know the law of Moses. He doesn't know what's written in it. He doesn't know that Israel's failure to win from the king of Assyria is really something that's already been written about, And so it says the people were silent, did not utter a word, because Hezekiah had commanded them, do not answer him. Then Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator, Shebna, the court secretary, and Joah, the son of Asaph, the royal historian, went back to Hezekiah. They tore their clothes in despair. And they went in to see the king and told him what the Assyrian chief of staff had said. What do we do with all the things going on in our world, all the unrest, the civil unrest in our societies, right? The unrest when it comes to our power structures, sometimes just our simple infrastructure in our communities, our systems, whether it's our military complex system that we wonder about, or our healthcare system that we wonder about, or our governmental system that we wonder about, and all the unrest within other countries, the idea of nuclear bombs being in the world and able to destroy a lot of this world and what we know about it, and the escalation of the war between Ukraine and Russia with our country seems to keep this thing rolling. What is up? Are we headed into a World War III? Are we headed into something so nuclear that's going to blow our minds? There's a lot of unknown, and a lot of people, of course, are depressed, filled with anxiety, stressed. Where are we going to go? Where do people go? And if people have been taught to trust in human beings, and all we are is looking at human beings, then there's no doubt all we can do is get depressed and filled with a lot of anxiety. Why? Because humans aren't stable. We see that we're very unstable, and that our systems are very unstable. But maybe we need to get back to worshiping Yahweh and look to Yahweh and his Son, right? Who reveals the Father. And maybe that way we find something stable, something sure, something that can stabilize the soul. And so we'll see what Hezekiah does when he gets this information. Let's see. So Laura Walker says, where can I go, or where can I go seeking a refuge for my soul? Needing a friend to help me in the end. Where can I go but to the Lord? Amen. That's it. The stable one, right? Absolutely. So people will trust in science. They will trust in technology. They will trust in power structures that run these technologies. But as we see, even that doesn't go well. So, wow. Crazy, huh? Interesting. Yeah, it seems like it all stays the same. But you know what? Good Friday service tonight at Calvary Christian Fellowship, 6:30. It's going to be a good time. 6:30 to 7:30 is that service. That's tonight, 6:30 p.m. Calvary Christian Fellowship there off Commerce Drive. And hope to see you there, okay? You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.